March Madness is one of my most favorite times of year, and we're back in 2022. This time, we got all the crowd, all the hype, got all the noise back in the stadium, and it's going to be a great March Madness in 2022. We have the first round going on right now, today, March 17th through March 18th, and then the second round is this weekend, and then the Sweet 16 is March 24th to 25th. The Elite Eight is the 26th to the 27th. The Final Four is April 2nd, and the championship is on April 4th. So we had the first four on Tuesday and Wednesday, which was great. We have a lot of Texas teams in March Madness. We had 6 entering the tournament, and most of the players are in fact from my city of Houston, so that's great news. And we're going to be previewing March Madness 2022. Obviously had some big upsets last night, so I'm going to be talking about that as well, but let's talk about the favorites for the tournament first. And obviously it's none other than Gonzaga. The Bulldogs are back number one in the tournament. They have all the top players, as we know, the number one offense, a top 10 defense, but can they finally get over the hump and win a national championship? Again, they have arguably the number one pick in Chet Holmgren at 7 foot, great athleticism, skill, and ball handling that you've never seen before from a 7-footer, which makes him a number one pick. And he's averaging 14 points per game, 10 rebounds and 2 assists. He had a monster game yesterday, and he's looking as good as ever, 41% from 3, as well as 61% from the field. You have Drew Timme from last year, who's been great, and then Coach Mark Few once again. But can they finally get it done? I mean, they have a tough schedule. They're in the toughest division up in the West, with facing Memphis in the second round tomorrow, and then you have potentially a matchup against Arkansas in the Sweet 16, and then Duke or Texas Tech in the Elite Eight. So it's a really tough schedule. Selectors made it tough for them, as they should, because they're the number one overall seed, but not really sure if they'll be able to get it done. And then you have Arizona, the Wildcats. They're back. They're the number one seed in the South region, and they can definitely win it all in 2022. They're really just a complete team overall. The Arizona Wildcats back in March Madness for the first time since 2018. They don't have much experience, which I think, could be something that might lead them to their downfall. They haven't been in this tournament, for so many years, for the past 4 years, so we'll see what they can do. But they're really a physical team, complete. They have shooters, great defenders. They have 3 really strong big men inside that can dominate, led by head coach Tommy Lloyd. They could face a team like potentially Houston or Villanova in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight, so that might be tough for them. But still, it's good to see Arizona back in the tournament once again. We'll see what they can do, number one in the South. And then, of course, the Baylor Bears. They were the defending 2021 NCAA tournament champions, beating Gonzaga handily 86-70 last year. But they had Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler, and their crew leading them. They're all in the NBA right now. So, leading scorer LJ Sire, he's going to be missing the first 2 games, but no problem for them. They absolutely destroyed their opponent in the first round. Easy. It might lead them to a possible upset in the second round. We'll see. We have guys like Chad Chua, who was huge last year. He's not going to be there this year. So, they have injuries kind of relates to the Houston Cougars that might hinder them this year. They're a newer team. You have James Ahinjo and Adam Flagler averaging 13 points per game. Scott Drew, the head coach, once again. Let's see if they can defend the title. But, I'm not really that confident they can make it to the Final Four. We'll see. But Kentucky going down last night was huge for them. It really paves the door open much more, even with their injuries, because Kentucky went down last night, and that was big time by St. Peter's. And then obviously the Kansas Jayhawks, they've been pretty good. Powerhouse basketball team, of course, the number one seed in the Midwest. They should make it back to the Final Four. I think they have a pretty relatively easy road, except number 2, Auburn, with Jabari Smith, I think could pose a threat. Auburn is the number 2 seed. A lot of different pieces for this Kansas team that can help them go deep. Obviously, their defense could be better, obviously, with their head coach, Bill Self, but they have a big weapon in Remy Martin. During the Big 12, he really emerged. You have a duo of Mitch Lightfoot and David McCormick. Those two have been great. You have teams that can, really take advantage of them in the paint. That's one weakness that they have. And I think an Auburn team, especially with Jabari Smith, could do that. Really strong wing in Jabari Smith. So we'll see what happens. But my Houston Cougars as well. Last year Houston was tremendous. That's my team, the Go Cougs, by the way. They've been amazing. Last year we made it to the Final Four. They beat Oregon State 67-61 to reach there. They also beat Rutgers 63-60, beat Syracuse 62-46. And, they were 28-3 on the season last year. They're number 2 in the Midwest last season, which was the best in 1984. They did so much great stuff last year. I was very proud of that team. But, this year it's going to be a little bit different. You don't have DeJon Jarreau, you don't have Justin Gorham, and Quentin Grimes. He's in the NBA right now. So, this team, they're back once again. Number 5 seed in the South this year. The back-to-back AAC champions compared, last year they're number 2, this year they're number 5. But injuries, I think they played a big part for this team. Junior Marcus Sasser, he was huge last year, if you guys remember, making all kinds of tough three-pointers. He was really big. He's out this year, unfortunately. You have sophomore Tremont Mark. He was out. Last year he was huge. Had a game-winning tip-in against Rutgers in the Sweet 16, if I'm correct. But, both guards being out definitely hurts this team. But, Fabian White Jr., the seniors, really stepped up. One thing about this team is they are plenty full of experience. A lot of seniors on this team right now. Experience, I think, can play a big role in the NCAA tournament. And also the big transfer this year, Kyler Edwards from Texas Tech, was a huge one. He's been great this year. Those two have been really leading the way. You have Tajay Moore, the senior. He's also been good. 10 points, 5 rebounds. You have Jamal Shedd. He's been really good as a sophomore, 9 points, 3 rebounds per game. And then you have Josh Carlton as center, 12.6 rebounds a game. He's also a senior that'll close out the starting lineup. Juwan Roberts has been huge off the bench. Reggie Chaney, of course, him as a senior. Fabian White has been outstanding. Even with his back injury, he came in the AAC tournament and cleaned it up. And Houston's going to be playing today, 8:20 Central on TNT, against the UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham Blazers, the number 12 seed. They should honestly get the win today. We'll see what they can do. But, Houston, they're led by Kelvin Sampson, one of the best college basketball head coaches. Fiery head coach. He's been outstanding in this tournament. Really great coach. And, this team led by Kelvin Sampson, one thing you can say is that they're going to play hard. They're going to give it their best. And, any team led by Kelvin Sampson, you cannot, dismiss them. They're going to, really give their best to any team. They're going to be a handful for whoever faces them. So definitely going to be, rooting for them, of course. We'll see what they can do. But, I believe in this team. They can definitely go far. You have to, take a look out for the Houston Cougars. And then there are a lot of great Texas teams in March Madness, of course, just like every year. Texas Tech, to me, is really, really strong this year. The number 3 seed in the West. They have tough competition, obviously, in that division with Duke and Gonzaga. But, the Red Raiders are the best defensive team in the country. And, of course, defense wins championships. So if they can hit those timely shots, they can definitely win those tough battles. Bryson Williams, he's a senior, averaging 14 points per game for the Red Raiders. Terrence Shannon, they're a good team, they're a tough team, and, I think they can definitely come out and reach the Final Four. We'll see what they can do. And then the Texas Longhorns, they play today as well, after last year's strong disappointment to Abilene Christian in the first round, number 6 seed in the East this year. A tough matchup against a really strong Virginia Tech team. So, that's going to be a really interesting matchup. They haven't advanced to the second round since 2015. So, we'll see if they can do that. Head coach Chris Beard, formerly the Texas Tech head coach. Let's see what he can do. They have a couple of good players on this team, such as Timmy Allen, the forward, averaging 12 points per game, 6.5 rebounds. And, Marcus Carr is the point guard. So, we'll see if the Texas Longhorns can reach the second round for the first time in 7 years. I think it's about time. You have the Texas Christian University, the Horned Frogs. They're back again. Great rebounding team, the number 9 seed. Going to be facing the number 8 Seton Hall, which I think is going to be a really interesting game. Also, shout out to the TSU, Texas Christian University, the Tigers. They made March Madness this year. Really great accomplishment for them. They won their first 4 matchup again, shout out to Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Those two faced off in the first 4. Texas A&M, Texas Southern, they made it to the first round, but they got smoked by Kansas. But shout out to them. Brisson Gresham, formerly at Houston, led this team, the Tigers, to a first round appearance. Really great job by them as well. Let's talk about some of the other teams that could possibly win March Madness. Obviously, see Kentucky losing to the St. Peter's Peacocks was a huge upset. Again, did not expect to see that from an 8-time national champion. Kentucky were the number 2 seed. They were looking really strong in that division because Baylor, being a little bit injured, they were a really strong candidate to many. So huge upset there. Hats off to the St. Peter's team. They did tremendous, and a huge upset, and a big team goes down. But obviously you have famous teams like the number 2 Duke team in the West, the Blue Devils. They're led by Coach K, obviously we know that, and his farewell tour. So it's a very talented team that you have in Duke, but we'll see if they can actually live up to it and get something done in this tournament. Obviously we'll see with their emotions and stuff like that, but again, they're a big team. You have the Villanova Wildcats, obviously them as well in the South. They have great potential to come out of the South. Obviously Arizona, it's their first time in the tournament after some time, so Villanova could definitely have strong potential. They could knock Arizona down. The number 4 Arkansas Razorbacks could also go deep in the West. The West is really deep. Obviously you have a lot of great teams there. They're really strong in the paint and a really good transition team. They have a really good defense as well. A team like that could definitely go far in the tournament, but they don't shoot well though. That's one of their problems. Going to number 3 in the East, the Purdue Boilermakers. They're also great. They could make a Final Four run, as the Baylor is a vulnerable number 1 seed, but they do have tough competition. Of course, the UCLA Bruins, who cannot forget them, the 11-time champions, obviously John Wooden back in the day, but they reached a Final Four last year. In an epic run. They beat teams like Michigan, but they lost to Gonzaga on a buzzer beater, obviously by Jalen Suggs, who's now in the NBA. But Johnny Juzang, he's gonna be back. He stepped up big time in the tournament. Jaquez, the East is just, I think, really wide open to 4 or 5 different teams, and I can't wait to see a potential UCLA versus Baylor game. I think that would be tremendous. And then you have the Tennessee Volunteers as a number 3 seed in the South. I think a lot of teams are picking this one to reach the Final Four, but they could be in store for a tough Michigan team in the South. You have a freshman duo there, really strong defensive team, and Rick Barnes as head coach. He's had flameouts in this kind of tournament. So yeah, again, I think the South is also a division which is kind of wide open for some teams to make it through. You also have Auburn. I think I'm really high on Auburn, actually. The number 2 seed in the Midwest. They have a potential number 1 NBA draft pick in Jabari Smith, a really good wing player, leading the way at only 18 years old. I think they have really tough competition, obviously, with Kansas. I think Wisconsin in there as well. You have USC and LSU. They could also make a run. So there are a lot of teams, I think, who could potentially make a run, but we'll see what happens. I think those are some of the favorites right there. And let's talk about some sleeper teams. I think the Loyola Chicago Ramblers, much about this team. They just come in, they keep pulling off these upsets. They're led by Sister Jean at 102 years old. She's going with the team. Truly tremendous dedication by her. I think that's really tremendous. I think if you guys remember their crazy Final Four run, a while ago, this team definitely knows how to pull off the true March Madness upsets. In Michigan, I think they're a team that could go far. They got a win, huge win yesterday, as in a number 11 seed over, it was a really great win for them over Colorado, I think it was. Michigan, I think they could go far. You have Juwan Howard, their head coach, obviously, who was suspended for 5 games for fighting. We know that. Yeah, but Michigan, they do play hard. They're a really good program. I think they can definitely go far. St. Mary's, I think they're a team that people have been choosing. St. Mary's, they absolutely destroyed Indiana yesterday completely. So number 5 seed, I think they're a different team that's in the tournament, but they're a team that can definitely go far. You have a really experienced point guard in Tommy Couche in his 6th year, so that's really good experience. The Vermont Catamounts at number 13 seed have some good potential. They're a really good 3-point shooting team at 37%. So you have those kind of teams that I think could potentially be sleepers. Personally, my Final Four out of the West, I think Texas Tech, number 3 seed, they come out of the West. I think they beat Gonzaga in the Elite 8, and I think here they are in the Final Four. In the East, I'm going with Baylor, the number 1 seed. I think, they cruise through. Obviously, it's not going to be easy, I think, in the Elite 8 and stuff like that, but I think they'll stay, they'll get their leading scorer back, and I think they'll be able to get through the Final Four. Again, in the South, I can't go against my Cougs, man. I have to go with the Houston Cougars in number 5. I think they get it done. I think Arizona's a little bit inexperienced. Houston been in this kind of situation a lot of times. I think they come through. And in Midwest, I'm going with Kansas, number 1 seed, once again. And right now, I think it's really, really tough to choose like a national champion, but I think Kansas could be in store for one. But I might be a little biased, but I'm going Texas Tech versus Houston right now. Obviously, that's a little biased, but I think if I, overall, I think if I, pick with my brain, I think Kansas might be able to pull this one out this year. But we'll see what happens. Definitely going to be a great March Madness. Going to be a great tournament. Definitely a lot of great matchups. Definitely want to tune in, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So go down, hit the like, subscribe, and comment in the comment section who you think is going to win March Madness, and I'll see you in the next one.